Let's take a look at how the process flow works in the doX system. Each process instance, meaning a single active case, such as a holiday request, can be in one of three states: cases that require my action, cases that are in progress, meaning they were handled by me at some point and are now being processed by other users, and finally cases that have already been completed. When we start a new process instance, a form appears. Depending on the type of process, it may be a simple form or a form combined with a document preview, for example, in an invoice workflow or an incoming correspondence process. This form is created either from a predefined template or built from scratch using the doX form editor. It includes various fields and extensions. In this example, information such as the user filling out the form, along with other relevant data, is loaded automatically. Here, we have a text field where the user enters their job title, for example, teacher. Next, there's a date range where I can specify when I'd like to take my holiday, as well as a field for adding any additional comments. Of course, the layout of the form can look completely different, and the fields used can vary depending on the process. Once the form is filled out, we submit it. We can send the form to a specific user, a group of users, or automate the routing using conditional logic. As you can see, there's also a time limit set for completing the task. This determines when the next activity must be completed, specifying both the date and time. This deadline is defined by the person who created the process during its design. However, we can always adjust it and, for example, change the due date to November 19th. We can send the task to a single person or to multiple people. If we choose multiple recipients, the system will ask whether all of them should be allowed to provide input. If we select no, the task will move forward as soon as the first person takes action. This approach is useful, for example, when we're looking for a replacement. We can assign the task to several potential substitutes, and we only need one of them to approve our leave request. In this demonstration, I'll send the task to myself so we can see how the system behaves. The form for the next step, the replacement activity, appears immediately. At the top, we can see all the activities involved in this process: the holiday request form, the replacement, acceptance, and finally, registration in HR. The replacement activity is very simple to complete. We're simply asked whether we can replace the requester. This is done using a drop-down field where we can choose yes, no, or no need. The number of available options, as well as their wording, is defined earlier when designing the process. We'll choose yes and move the task forward. To demonstrate the workflow quickly, I'll send it to myself again. The next form includes a different type of field, where we simply choose yes or no. This is the approver's decision. They determine whether the leave request will be approved or rejected. After that, the only remaining step is to forward the task to the HR department, which confirms the registration, for example, by recording it in an external HR system and specifying the number of working days. Of course, doX can also be integrated with financial and accounting systems, HR platforms, warehouse systems, and many others. This means the leave request could be recorded automatically in an external system. When we click the Finish button, the task is removed from our work inbox and from the In Progress section. It is then moved to the Completed tab, where we can access it at any time to review both its history and its contents.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us in the next episode.